Hi, I'm E.G. Lewis and welcome back to Nocturnal Reviews. Today I'm doing a bit of an announcement video. This is for a reading challenge. I did this challenge last year, mostly in secret, but did talk about it later in the year, and so now I am opening it up and making it an official challenge. So, let me put this back over here. This is the Universal Monsters Reading Challenge. So this is based around the Universal Studios monster classic films. So each one of these prompts is based off of, one of the classic monster movies. There are 8 total prompts, and this is entirely for fun. So if you don't want to participate, of course you don't have to. If you fall short, that's perfectly okay. It's just for fun. It's very laid back and it's very open-ended. Some of these are even open to interpretation. 6 of them are regular prompts and there are 2 bonus ones. So we're mostly looking for the core ones, but the bonus is for extra fun. Now there is one extra bonus than what I did last year, and I will talk about that when I get to it. Most of these will not need explanation because most of these are based off of an original work of, not an original work, a classic work of literature, such as the first 2 on here. So I won't need to explain those. You can read the original works of the, for some of these, and others that were just original concepts created for the movies are more open-ended, and those are the ones I'll actually explain. So, but you can read pastiche, you can read retellings, which I think would, for the most part, fit into pastiche. Well, no, not all retellings I would count as pastiche, but anyway. You could do retellings, pastiche, which would include sequels, or, like companion novels. You can do short stories, comics, it's pretty limitless. You can read pretty much whatever you want. YA, adult. Some of these have even delved into the areas of not just horror, but also romance. You can explore that. And many of these fit into the Gothic, too. So, let's get started with that. So first off is Dracula, one I need not explain. Of course, there's the original Bram Stoker novel. But I do have a few recommendations with some of these, some more than others, and at least one I don't really have much of a recommendation. Sorry, I'm tripping over my words. So I recommend for Dracula, if you're looking for something a little different, there is the prequel novel by Dacre Stoker and J.D. Barker, and that is Dracula. I absolutely love this one. It's one of my top Dracula novels. There's also the book I read for the Gothic Hearts Reading Challenge last year, as well as for this little reading challenge, and that is Dracula Bound in Blood by Morgan Black. It is a Gothic romance, MM romance, and also dark romance as well. It does go to some dark places that may not be very comfortable for some people, and that's perfectly okay. By the way, if I did forget to mention, because there's a bit of, I feel like there was a bunch of information at the start of this video, this is a year-long reading challenge, so you got all year to work on it. Next up is Frankenstein, another one I need not explain. So, besides the original novel, I can recommend Stitchhead, The Forgotten Creation. I can't remember the name of the author. I think it's Guy something. I'll have the name pop up and, of course, a picture of the book. I don't think there's quite as much work done based off of or centered around Frankenstein, more Dracula, but there are quite a few things out there, so you got a lot of choices. But I can recommend Stitchhead to you. I have not seen the movie that came out last year still, but I really enjoyed the book. It wasn't quite what I was expecting, but it was still quite enjoyable. Next we have The Mummy. Now this one, of course, was an original creation and concept. It wasn't even their original idea for the film, actually. Things had changed a little bit, but this is one of Universal's original ideas. So, with The Mummy, you could read any kind of mummy story, book, novel, novella, comic, what have you. Even non-fiction about mummies. And so, something with a mummy in it. So I'm recommending Some Words with a Mummy by Edgar Allan Poe. And it's a short story, of course. It's also a humorous story. It does have some dry moments to it, but all in all, I think it was quite enjoyable, and it was clever. And also, Return of the Mummy by R.L. Stine. This is a Goosebumps book. It's technically the sequel of a mummy duology. I've not read the first one, but I think you can read it without knowing the events of the first book. Then we have Phantom of the Opera, which this one is one I need not explain, but if you need some recommendations besides the original Gaston Leroux book, there is Phantom by Susan Kay. It was one of my top reads of 2025, and yeah, I cannot recommend that book enough. I think it surpasses the original novel, which I know is blasphemous, but still, I do recommend it. There's also, if you're looking for something more gothic romance, more gothic fantasy, I would go with Music of the Night by Angela J. Ford. I really enjoy that book as well. Then we have Werewolf of London / The Wolfman. This is another one of those original concepts, not the werewolf itself being an original concept, of course, but the stories were not based off of any literary works. And they were more or less either based off of werewolf legends and folklore, or they were entirely made up for the film, such as The Wolfman was pretty much mostly all original material. So this would be anything that is about a werewolf or werewolf related. So I recommend Ebb and Moon by Dennis MacDonald. That was one of my top reads last year. And also The Werewolf of Fever Swamp, another Goosebumps one. I also read that one last year during the Howls and Haunts Reading Challenge. And we'll be right back after these messages. It's that time of year again. It's the Gothic Hearts Reading Challenge. Please tune in to Regina's Haunted Library for all the details and her co-hosts, and join the fun for another year of Gothic romance and Gothic goodness. Continuing on, we have The Creature from the Black Lagoon, which of course is another original concept from Universal Studios, which kind of ended their classic monsters in the 1950s. Since there's no original work, this is to read a story featuring an aquatic creature / monster, so very up for interpretation. What I did last year was I reread the short story Dagon by H.P. Lovecraft, because the gill creature, or what is that? It's like more like a frog creature. It makes me think very much of The Creature from the Black Lagoon. So anything that has a sea monster, sea creature, or not even have to be the sea, a lake, whatever, some sort of aquatic creature will do very nicely for that. Now on to our bonus ones. So we have The Bride of Frankenstein. And this one is of course, it was based, from the original Mary Shelley's novel of Frankenstein. So this one is read a story featuring a female creature. I don't know how much is out there that would pertain to a female creature, but I can recommend at least one book, and that is A Botanical Daughter by Noah Medlock. Fantastic story. It's a botanical gothic. It's interesting. It's also LGBTQ+. It kind of mixes the wit and stuff of Oscar Wilde with kind of a Frankenstein-inspired story. So I would highly recommend it. Besides that, I don't have any more recommendations for that, so that one is left up for grabs. That's why it's a bonus. It's a little harder to come by. And our new bonus one for this year is The Invisible Man. I don't know if anything's with invisible men in it, or invisible characters for that matter. I've only read The Invisible Man by H.G. Wells, the original story. So, I mean, there is that, but if you don't want to go that route, I do know there is a short story sequel that was written. I didn't know about this till like late last year when I was kind of looking into it. Apparently only one person's ever done an Invisible Man pastiche, and so I guess it's a direct sequel. I don't know what it's about. I don't even remember the author, but it wouldn't be too hard to find information about. I do know that there is an Invisible Man character in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen comics, so that's another option. I've never read those. I've only seen the movie with Sean Connery, years ago. So I've decided to put it as read a story featuring an unseen being, so that one could be left up to interpretation. So plenty of room to be creative. But those are the prompts for the reading challenge. If you are interested in taking part in it, please let me know. If you've got any ideas, recommendations, please drop them in the comments. And until next time, stay safe, stay spooky, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.